Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty big news when it comes to the success of the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, as you guys probably know, we've had the PlayStation 5 Pro come out. I'm sure you guys have seen some videos on YouTube or from my channel about it, and a lot of people are kind of curious on if it was good, if it was bad, if people are enjoying it, how the general sales are, and so far it actually kind of seems like, number one, the big price point, which is like the biggest, I think, drawback from the console itself and the biggest overall general critique on it, apparently hasn't really affected the console sales that much. And as well, the Pro is apparently selling better than the even prior generation's PlayStation 4. So to go talk about this news, we have a lot of stuff to keep on coming up throughout these next few days. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying the videos itself. And of course, I appreciate you guys all so much for clicking on the video and watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We're still on that 69,000 sub goal dream before the end of the year. And we also have our PS5 Pro giveaway going on. So make sure you guys get in your entries as of right now for subscribing here, the second channel, the Twitters, and the Twitches all down below. And of course, you just want to pick up your PS5 Pro. All the affiliate links are linked down below, and let's go and dive on into the video itself. So as I mentioned, we've kind of seen the PS5 Pro hit the stores, and I feel like it's kind of actually had a lot of media attention. Now, it has sold out only at the PlayStation Direct, and it does seem like other locations are having stock. And we even made a video earlier on today, if you guys missed it and want to check it out after this one, about how even scalpers who are kind of trying to hedge their bets and make a little bit of money on the Pro are actually now having to sell their Pros for a small smidgen loss because right now they don't really have the stock to go through it. Stock is available. They just don't, no one wants to buy it from a scalper. You can buy it from Walmart. I wish I'd probably agree on that one. But right now we're seeing that first and foremost, the kind of the biggest controversy where the PlayStation 5 Pro's price point of $700, which really was critiqued a lot. And I'm sure if it was a little bit cheaper or include the disk drive, it probably would have sold a little bit more, because duh. But at the same time, apparently it didn't really negatively impact the sales that Sony has now said. So surprisingly, people who have money still have money, and people who don't mind blowing their money are blowing their money. They also might just be dropping all their stuff on Bitcoin or something. If any of you guys are crypto people, let me know in the comment section down below. My portfolio has been going crazy. So Sony's president Hiroki Totoki is bullish on the PlayStation 5's prospects days now after its release, and apparently most people in the company itself are pretty happy with it so far. So earlier this month, the PlayStation 5 Pro finally arrived in stores, and while the lack of the disc drive and the $700 price tag has been unpopular with players, Sony president Hiroki Totoki has assured investors that sales of the mid-generation console update have not been negatively affected so far. As done by the video game reporter Genki, Totoki recently told Japanese investors that, in terms of the pricing, many people made different comments on that, and that was a really big, absolute show, but pricing and PS5 Pro has not been a negative impact from what they are going to assume. Hardcore users are the target of the hardware. It's not for the mom and pops or the casual folks. It's someone who's a really big PlayStation ecosystem user, and that's what they're rolling with. So considering that the PS5 Pro has barely been out a week, it seems premature to assess whether it's a success or a failure. What we do know is that the PS5 Pro consoles appear to be readily available in stores, which means they haven't sold out, which some people are critiquing on that, and that is kind of a valid point. But I do think just with how much of a supply shock we had during the, the pandemic, PS5 stuff, we talked about this in the earlier video, I think that's okay. I think I'd rather stock not be sold out, have them sitting down some stock and making sure this holiday season is going to be fine, than us having to go deal with scalpers and botters and people buying out stock instantly. And I think most of you guys watching would probably agree. Even if you don't want to buy it, it's just nice to know that anyone who does want to buy it doesn't have to stay up until 5 in the morning to go get it. I think that's a win. I don't mind. If they most likely made more stock than expected based on the PSVR 2, which they also produce a lot more of, and I think they were also making those in tandem, so it kind of makes sense. We'll kind of see if they're still producing stuff or if they sit on stock over time, but it seems like so far it's okay. And as well, we've also had to talk about before how some people are selling their PS5 Pros at a loss due to the lack of demand, but of course, that's more so just because it's readily available online. So they're saying the scalpers have had more sales than the optic drives, talked to us beforehand too as well. They've all been selling on top of that one stuff, all that good stuff too as well. But anyways, this is kind of basically saying first and foremost that it is overall selling better. And I think this is some good news. So if you guys remember a little bit more of a breakdown as we kind of look through a separate article too as well, it's going to have some of the similar stuff. But when it comes to this stuff, the PlayStation 4 Pro, from what I remember, actually had a 20% total number sales for the PlayStation 4. And actually, let me go and actually look at this right this second, because the PS4 is still technically on sale. I want to Google this really quick for a side, little note on the video. Sony's fourth generation console, the PlayStation 4, was first released worldwide for 2013. And then at that point, only had 117 million units across the world. So the number we've seen a lot on was the 20%. That they basically sold 20% of their PlayStation 4 Pros, which if you look at the numbers, let's maybe say like a 20 million to be a little bit safe. Like we could just guesstimate down a little bit. It's actually a little bit higher if you factor in those overall numbers. Well, I guess 20%, I guess if this number includes the PS4, that in technicality would be 100 million PS4s. So let's just go and say 17 million. They're just easy numbers. It can be a little bit of a range. It depends on how you interpret the 20%. If it's 20% total sales, it'd be a little bit higher from 117. If it's 20% of the, like in comparison to the PS4, it'd be a little bit lower. But either way, it was a pretty good hefty margin. And if we're kind of seeing right now that this actually selling better than the PS4 Pro, with the PS5 Pro selling better, that means it's doing pretty good. We also have now had articles saying the same little like initial launch period that the PS5 Pro is selling better than the PS4 Pro in that same period, as Sony has said. So as we've kind of talked about some of the stuff too, I'll kind of do a quick little glance on this one, saying over here they've gone on record that the Pro is selling just fine per the company's expectations. So it hit their expectations, they're doing pretty good, and apparently the price point didn't completely negate it on out. So in a recent statement, the CFO, also the firm's COO, said that the PS5 Pro is performing slightly stronger than the PS4 Pro did in that same exact period in 2016. He was frank in noting that Sony didn't expect large sales going into the manufacture of the console, basically saying they knew that most people would be focusing on the PS5, most people would maybe want to wait for the PS6, people might be going to PC, and as well, this is more of the enthusiast console, like the bonus console, which makes sense. So on the impression. So in a recent statement grabbed by Nikkei Asia, Hiroki Totoki explained how things were looking for the PS5 Pro, which was just released, saying, and we touched on this before, it is a high-end product targeted at core customers, so we haven't been even eyeing these large sales plans to begin with. But from what their goals are, it's a success. So it's like selling better than expected, it's doing well, and we're doing pretty good. But they're also not expecting this to be the PS6, which makes sense. I'm under the impression that the product is performing slightly stronger than the pre-orders of the PS4 during that same period, so I don't think it's adversely affecting the product sales plan at all in regards to the price point we covered up before. Basically saying critics were quick to point out how strange it sounds that the CFO is merely under the impression that the console's selling well, but that's just basically maybe just him being pedantic and as he's speaking to the general public. Also saying too as well that some people were assuming, as we mentioned in the prior point, the price point did seem expensive. And like, I'm curious for your thoughts on this one. I'm going to go through the comments in this video. Do you guys think that price point really was like your biggest, I guess, hindrance against it if you guys decided not to get a console? I saw that for when I was asking my Twitch stream, although a lot of them are just like random women and also femboys. I have no idea what's going on my Twitch stream. If you guys ever swing by there, I'm sure you guys would probably like understand. It makes no sense. I don't know what the hell's ever going on there. But anyway, a lot of them really weren't too interesting. There's a lot of PC gamers more on the Twitch side. But as I've kind of gone through a lot of the YouTube comments, I have seen a lot of people saying that $700 was just a little bit too much. The improvements weren't as big for that what they really wanted. But I've also seen the reverse where some people are just like, yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, I don't have a PC. All my friends play in PlayStation. I'll do the upgrade. My brother-in-law plays games on my PS5. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. I play with my kids, play with my wife. So it just kind of seems like it is still a niche product, but that niche is still a somewhat stronger selling point than we probably expected. So I think it's kind of cool. This also is technically the most expensive console in a very long time though, but it still seems like even in comparison wise to the PS4 Pro, it's still selling and doing okay. Users were also concerned that the console wouldn't make enough difference though, but I do think a lot of folks have been kind of swayed on over for the PSSR, the upscaling, the better graphics, the 8K graphics, everything else. I do kind of feel like people have been slowly warming up to the idea and concept of it. And also saying too as well, the financial projections, which we may want to touch about in a separate video, but they are saying that the financial projections, aka what they're assuming in the future at Sony, are on the up. And if Totoki's statement is anything to go by, so are sales of the PS5 Pro. So basically, they're saying right now the PS5 Pro is getting a bigger sales bump, doing better than expected, making more money. It's also a very expensive price point. We also are seeing the disk drive selling out everywhere, which, although we have covered that scalping issue, does go to show that the console is doing well. Like apparently better than people are expecting, and haters actually might have been proven wrong because a lot of people are apparently picking up their consoles, and a lot of the reviews I've seen some negative ones. I can't say I'm like not, I've only seen positive, but I think I've seen a lot of people saying like, yeah, the console's like an 8.5 out of 10, or it's a worth buy, or people have really enjoyed their first impressions, or anyone who's never had a PlayStation yet is very happy with their console. And a lot of people still comparing their PS5 Pro to PC are also saying that they're pretty happy with the general cause. Like they're just assuming this is a good vibe. PS5. So I'd actually might be doing better than expected. Sales are doing better than expected, and I want to know what you guys think down below. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We also have the giveaway going on over here. So subscribe here, second channel, Twitters, and the Twitch. And of course, pick up your consoles down below if you guys would like to. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching here in the first place.